wanted to talk to you about today is crowdfunding. Now, it might sound like a new buzzword, but you all already know what crowdfunding is. It's passing around the collection basket at church. It's been around forever. But why does it sound so new and hip? Well, it's because we put it online, so all of a sudden it's revolutionary. We took something that by definition is completely and totally inefficient, and all of a sudden we made it efficient so that more people could participate in vastly more projects and get different rewards for them. So what I wanted to talk to you about is, what are the three biggest innovators in the space right now? Well, maybe you've heard of these companies, and I'll add one more to the list that my co-founder Jessica Jackley started, which is Kiva. So on Kiva, you can lend $25 to help a seamstress in Uganda with her micro-enterprise and get that money back. Kickstarter is another huge innovator in the space. This is somewhere where you can say, donate $10 to build a RoboCop statue in Detroit and get blueprints for that statue as a thank you for what you've done to help make that happen. As well as Prosper, where say on Prosper you could go in and invest or loan $300 to someone who needs help making their mortgage payment and get interest on that loan, just to name a few that are really innovative in the space. But when you look at this list of who's out there, you'll notice what's missing is, what if you wanted to raise investment money for your business? Well, there wasn't a tool to do that. And we saw a really interesting case study, my partner and I, at Stanford Business School when we were there, of a company called Wikimart that our classmates started. So you have to imagine this is the spirit of kumbaya around graduation that I'm sure you're all familiar with, when everyone's going out into the world and saying, let's stay in touch, let's stay involved in each other's lives. And these classmates said, well, wouldn't it be cool if our classmates could invest in us? Well, sure, it'd be cool. Okay. They had, after sending out an email to about 300 or so people in our class, they had 60 people who wanted to put in $1,000 each to invest in this business. Seems like the ending to a beautiful story of community engagement, but the next step is that they went to their lawyers and say, here's what we're going to do. And they said, no way, no how, never, I don't think so. And they spent months and $20,000 of legal expenses to get $35,000 of investment capital. And it seemed like a horribly inefficient system. So if that was just a unique case, we might have said, oh, that's really unfortunate that that happened. But that is not a unique case at all. That is part of a much larger category of what the term of art actually is called friends and family financing. And friends and family financing happens to the tune of $144 billion a year and accounts for 87% of all private business financing. This is a gigantic market in this informal investment space. But what you all might know friends and family investing as is that thing that ruined Thanksgiving dinner forever. Because what friends and family funding is now in this offline way is one rich uncle sliding a check that's probably too big for his wife to even be okay with over here, and having no terms around it and have no idea what's ever going to happen, and they're never going to talk about it again. It's just going to be totally awkward. And that's what we wanted to innovate on. It was amazing. There was nothing happening in this huge space. So we created ProFounder. And ProFounder is an online platform where your community can make meaningful investments in your business. So I want to tell you a case study. Does anyone in this audience know Bronson Cheng, USC class of 2010? All right, Bronson Cheng, we are so proud, is our first customer at ProFounder. So what Bronson did is he actually gave a baccalaureate speech last year, and he talked about how he was going back to help with the family business, the House of Pure Aloha in Honolulu, where they sell shaved ice and are really a community center. After giving this baccalaureate speech, tons and tons of people in the audience said, Bronson, how can we help? And he didn't know what to tell them. But very serendipitously, we met at around the same time. We said, well, we have a platform where what you can do is, Bronson, you can create your pitch. You can create your term sheets by customizing the templates we have on the site. We'll give you a private fundraising website. Invite your community to come and participate. They'll invest directly online. We'll take care of all the back-end stuff like the compliance to make sure this is legally okay. We'll take care of the term sheet signatures, transferring the money, and on and on and on. He said, sign me up. So he did this fundraising in 30 days. He had 19 investors who invested the $54,000 that are allowing him next week to open a brand new House of Pure Aloha in Honolulu. We could not be more proud to be part of that journey. But he did it. We didn't do it. We just gave him the tools. So those 19 people consist of his friends and family, his USC classmates, his freshman year roommate was one of his investors, his customers at the House of Pure Aloha. And this is a vastly different model for fundraising. Now, I want to share with you a story about assumptions and what crowdfunding really means. So we wanted to do an experiment with Bronson. We said, well, this was so effective with your community. What if you could open this up to the general public and everyone could share in the spirit of Aloha, and it just sounds so beautiful and utopian. So we made a few tweaks to our system to make the compliance work out all right. And we let him open this up to everybody. It took him about 2 months. He got about 50 investors involved and raised $7,500 toward a $50,000 goal that he was setting out to get from the general public. Now, what happened here? When he was going to the general public, he needed to tell his story all over again. He needed to first reach the people. Then he needed to convince them to believe in him. Then he needed to convince them to part with their money because they believed in him so much. So at best, he was getting people to put in $50, $100 as an investment. It was a struggle. It was an uphill journey. She said, boy, this is a struggle. And when we looked at who those 50 people were, they were people that he already knew anyway. So this wasn't working. This key assumption. And then when it was all over, those 19 people who were part of the private fundraising for Bronson, those people were tweeting up a storm. They were eating shaved ice like nobody's business. They were shopping there every day. They were engaged because they were excited. They were part of this exclusive group. And they invested enough that it was meaningful to them. And they really felt like they were part of this community very actively. Versus these public people, for $50, they didn't feel that same sense of engagement. And they were much less active. So we learned a really important lesson. And that is that for us, crowdfunding as a term is a misnomer. It's not crowdfunding, it's community funding. Think about that first example of the church collection basket. When you need to put a new roof on a church, what do? Do I ask you in the audience, will you give me some money to put a roof on my church? You're going to say, what church, where, what are you talking about? I'm going to ask the people in the church if they'll give me money to put a roof on the church. So it's really about engaging the community first and building out from there. And we saw that in countless examples we ran on the site. So my ask to you to get engaged is that you have new tools at your fingertips that you never had before to contribute to other people's success in your community. So get engaged. Ask your neighbor what they're working on and ask how you can contribute. And by the way, just saying like on Facebook is not being an active member in a community. Ask them how you can advocate for them, how you can lend your talents and your skills, and ask them how you can invest. Thank you.